Hey, is your team 5-1? Probably not. Welcome to another episode of the Lakeshore Live Podcast, the home of all things Chicago, including the 5-1 Chicago Bears. We are here. We are live. We are dropping that content, as always, that Chicago content, talking about the Bears 5-1. Big board, Ryan's Corner. We got it all today, guys. We are pumped for this show. Fellas, how are we doing? I didn't even introduce you. As always, my left-hand man is here at Blake Hanatha, who is in his mid-20s now. Congratulations on 25.
That's bogus, bro. I don't even want to think about that.
And Ryne Burden at Ryne Burden on Twitter, spelled like Ryan Sandberg. Don't get it wrong. Fellas, how are we doing? We got two guys on our mid-20s now on this podcast.
I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world because, like you said, first place Bears. We're first place Bears right now.
Bears are back, baby.
Bears.
I know we
back.
talked about it. Yeah, dude. We talked about it a little on the post-game show because we were kind of watching the end of the Packers get absolutely mollywopped by the Bucs. But it didn't really hit me that they're actually in first place until these last couple of days where it's like, NFC. Oh, like we got something cooking here. Defense is looking fire. The Rams lost to the Niners on Sunday Night Football then after we did the post-game, and they're looking really beatable. We know the Bears defense has had Goff's number, and we'll get into that more here. But 5-1 with a chance to go 6-1. I mean, the only thing that's unperfect about this season is that they're not 6-0. So we're feeling pretty good, I think.
Hey, and let me tell you something. There's a reason that we picked Bears back for our Manscaped 20% off promo. Okay, Bears are back. Ball should be back too. I'm not even going to do the promo now. We're going to do it later in the show. But there's a reason we picked that, because the Chicago Bears are back. Ryan, how are you feeling? How are you doing on this glorious, wonderful weekday?
I mean, if I had to rate how I'm feeling, my optimism, my happiness out of a 10, I would go like a 9.876.
Wow.
Or 7.3852.
How about 8.675?
I like that we're getting into the.
Ooh, how about beep, boop, bop, boop, beep?
8.675.309 out of 10.
There's a lot of numbers great, dude. Around. This is too much math for me.
Bears are 6-1. I've been playing around with stats all day. I'm getting into stats Twitter, and the Bears defense is looking fucking good. And all Bears fans know, like, yes, we want a capable offense, but if we have an elite defense, Bears fans are happy. Like, I have nothing to complain about. We have 3 takeaways on our last game. Like, I'm feeling great. I got a Guinness in my left hand, and really, I'm trying to live in the moment, and the moment right now is pretty damn good, I got to say.
Hey, that Guinness sounds delicious. But as always, guys, we got a jam-packed show, starting with our sports news. We'll cover the World Series and Big Ten football coming back, and then we're going to get into the Bears rant preview, very high level. No, we'll get into some specifics, but obviously we're going to go over most of it on our pregame show on Monday night. We might drop another live show in between there as well. And then we're going to go over some other Bears news of the week, including a couple signings. And then we got a Staley update and a big board of fall activities, just a big board of fall. And then we'll end with Ryan's Corner. So a great show lined up for you guys today. Let's start it off. Sports are continuing to be back, starting with the World Series is starting tonight, Tuesday. You guys are going to listen to this when the World Series already happened. Dodgers, who came back against the Braves, being down 3-1, and then the Tampa Bay Rays, who did God's work and beat the Houston Astros. Fellas, how are we feeling about this World Series?
Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead. That's all you.
Sorry, Blake. I just want to shout out Will Lemons, and then I'm all in for the Rays because fuck the Dodgers. We were going for the Braves. He's a lifelong Braves fan. He was real hurt by the 3-1, them losing up the 3-1 series. All in for the Rays. Shout out Will. Fuck the Dodgers. Playoff Kershaw is going to strike again. I don't have a lot of baseball analysis. That's all I wanted to say. Sorry, Blake.
No, yeah, good. That was the hard-hitting baseball. That's baseball sabermetrics at its finest right there. But, I mean, I'm not the biggest baseball guy in the world, too, but, it's the World Series. Got to talk about it. I mean, the Dodgers, a lot of people thought they were dead in the water there against the Braves. The Braves kind of looked like a team of destiny, but I'm going to flip that and say I think the Dodgers are the team of destiny because they came back against the Braves. And, hey, listen, the Dodgers have been so close for the last few years that I think this is the one that they finally break through. I think they're the team of destiny.
How about the Indians Twitter account adding the Braves and saying we have our blown 3-1 lead group sessions every Tuesday night?
How about Atlanta too? That's another Atlanta blown 3-1 lead.
The Falcons just had to fucking win.
28-3, different.
They had to win. Like if the state of Georgia can't have 2 winning teams in the same day / the same weekend, and the Falcons fucked it up for the Braves. They just had to
When's
win
the
their
last
first
time
game.
Atlanta had a champion?
Georgia blew it against
I think they-
Alabama.
Oh yeah, Georgia did lose to Alabama too, so it was a rough
Even though
weekend
Blake
for
was
Atlanta.
hard for Georgia. Blake was like a fucking bulldog on Saturday.
Oh, I was all about the dogs, and that backfired.
I am a big Rays fan. You know, it's funny. My buddy moved down to Tampa Bay, and he's working for like a Fox News station down there, sports. And when he moved down there, the fucking Lightning win it all. The Bucks get Tom Brady. The Rays make the World Series. I mean, Tampa Bay is sports central right now. They're killing it right now. Crazy stuff.
It really is.
I would really like to see the Rays win it all. I think that'd be really cool. However, I wouldn't be mad if the Dodgers win. Being Cubs fans, we know how difficult it is to see your team get so close and lose so many times. Not, you guys haven't been through what the Cubs fans have been through, but Dodgers, if
They've
anyone
been through
does,
a lot though. Braves fans get heartbreak, man.
Dodgers,
I lived with one, and I'm telling you, the heartbreak that man suffered at the hand of the Braves was really something to watch.
They had that really good team in the early 2000s, though. That was like Tom Glavine and all those guys.
The Braves won a World Series in the 90s.
Yeah,
95.
They had those crazy
And then they
wins.
win again in 99. I think that was the last time
they were the Cubs dethroned them.
I mean, they had
that?
Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones was like a household name. But dude, think about this. So Mookie Betts and Clayton Kershaw cost the Dodgers like $26.8 million a year or some shit like that. I'm pretty sure like the entire Rays roster costs either right above that or right below that.
I think it's below. I don't think anybody on the Rays costs. But dude, the Rays have been playing absurd defense. I don't know if you guys have seen their defense has been ridiculous. Mookie too. Mookie robbed 2 home runs over the weekend. So this is gonna be a great.
Wait, the Dodgers or the Rays? You said that.
No, the Rays have been playing great defense, but Mookie also robbed 2 homers for the Dodgers.
Actually, so Mookie is from where I used to live in Tennessee, Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
And I know the guy that just built Mookie Betts cabinets in his house, not to flex or anything like that. I know a guy who knows a guy who talks to Mookie.
So you guys
Betts
are basically
directly.
best friends.
I mean, yeah, we've been known to say hello to each other when we see each other.
Hey, Mookie, how are those cabinets? How are those cabinets? Hey, John, how are those
cabinets?
Mookie, you got
I just
space
looked up
for a
the
World
payroll.
Series trophy there?
What'd you say, Blake?
Well, I looked up their payrolls real quick, and in comparison, the Dodgers are at 107,917,397, and then the Rays are 28th. So the Dodgers were second, my apologies, and then 28th was the Rays, 28,290,689. So that's a difference in almost 80 million on payroll,
Which is as much as Mookie Betts and Clayton Kershaw's contract.
No,
That's
exactly.
fucking
literally.
Ridiculous. So very jam-packed one-sided star-studded team. A lot of no names on the Rays, but these guys have been balling out so far. So I think it's going to be a great series, very low scoring. I've been taking the unders. The unders have been working in baseball lately. So if you're a betting guy, the unders look pretty good. Obviously if the Dodgers get hot one game, it'll be a high scoring game, but I think most of the time it's going to be, if the Rays are going to win, it's going to be 2-1, 3-2, very low scoring. So looking forward to that series, guys. We got predictions real quick. I'm rooting for and going with the Rays.
Yeah, going for the Rays. Just because the Dodgers beat the Braves and they hurt my friend's feelings, and I ride for my homeboys. So
my homeboy.
Yeah, go for the Braves. And also after the fucking they pay like a fifth of the Roger Dodger payroll. Like you go for the cheap boys.
Like what you got?
Am I allowed to root for the Rays but pick the Dodgers? Is that allowed or?
Yeah, I almost did that
because I would rather see the Rays because that difference in payroll, you obviously that's the underdog story. I mean, I think just like the pure sports fan, if you're impartial and your favorite team's not playing in it, for the most part, you're going to root for the underdog, and I think a lot of casual fans will too. But I'm rooting for the Rays, but I'll take Dodgers in 7. I think it's going to be a hard fought series though because there's a lot of solid pitching in here, and the Dodgers have the bats to get something done any night they want to play. So I'll take the Dodgers in 7.
I like that pick. I think it's going to be a good series regardless, but I said that about the NBA and it was a terrible
it was 6 games still. I mean, the Heat kind of made it. I mean, not really. They kind of got blown out in every game, and you never
score 50 points or the Heat getting blown out. That's basically what
it didn't help that Adebayo was hurt and Dragic was hurt, but that's over with. We'll move on from that.
All right, Rays Dodgers game 1 will be over by the time you listen to this. Game 2 will be at night on Wednesday night, so we're looking forward to the series. All right, guys, before we get into our Bears Rams preview, Big Ten football is returning this weekend. The Illini are actually supposed to have a pretty promising season. Northwestern, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, they are all coming back. How are we feeling about Big Ten football? College football, just about back. I don't think there's Pac-12 yet, but college football.
Let me look up the Pac-12 start date, but I mean, Pac-12 is irrelevant. They're not winning anything anyway.
Boo. But the Big 12,
Boo,
the
boo
SEC,
Pac-12.
Big 10, all coming back. So, or all back. Big 10 will be back this weekend. So very excited about that. Blake, you hear anything about the Illini? I thought, aren't they supposed to have a solid year?
They kind of had a jump last year where they started to play better, I think, late in the season, a little bit more competitive. I know Lovie Smith's recruiting has been a lot better than it has been in recent years, but they're still kind of the Illini to me. Like I never really will see them as true contenders for the Big Ten as long as you have all the Ohio States of the world, Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin's in the mix at all times. So, if they got a lot to prove before I consider them to be a contender, but, it'd be nice to see some good football in Illinois because they're pretty much our real only shot there. I mean, Illinois State has been really good in years past, but they are, I think, in Division I AA, I want to say, or something like that. So,
yes.
Yeah, it sounds right, but I'm rooting for them. Want them to be good, but at the same time, the Big Ten. There's a reason the Big Ten is probably the second most. I mean, the ACC. Okay, let me backtrack. I'm a backpedal here a little bit. What's up with that?
Naperville Central D3 champs last year.
Yeah, and their quarterback went to the NFL.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, Naperville. I'm blanking on his name. Now you got me looking it up. Going to the stats department. Real Google machine. I think was it the guy that got in the game. Maybe not. Now you got me. I'll come back to it. Let's move on, and I'll come back to it as soon as I have that information.
You were talking about Illinois and Big Ten.
Well, you brought up North Central, so I wanted to look up North Central's Division III quarterback. He went to the NFL.
Yeah, but and then we also have. But back to Big Ten. I mean, we got Michigan. Yeah. Michigan and I saw Michigan and Ohio State, I think, and they're not ranked super high, I don't think. So they're coming in the mid teens, which is interesting. Michigan is
Ohio State was still up there, weren't they?
Then Michigan, I think, is the one that's kind of like 19 or whatever.
But Michigan are some frauds. Michigan, they'll be good enough to win 8 to 9 games, but they're not winning anything.
Yep, we'll see how Justin Fields and Ohio State does. We also got. Of course, we always got Penn State, who always plays tough. Michigan State, who plays good defense. That's about it. Northwestern, who is Northwestern. I don't know. Ryan, how are we feeling? Big Ten football? Are you at all fan?
Never been a huge college guy. To be completely honest, I grew up in a Tennessee Vols family, so it's pretty obvious why I was never a college football fan. But I fuck with the Illini just because of Lovie Smith. I mean, I'm always going to be a Lovie Smith fan. He gave me some of the best football experiences of my life.
And Lovie with that snow white beard,
dude,
that's a thing.
And him quoting the 2006 that tweet about the Cardinals Bears game from 2006 the other day. I was like,
Lovie, come back, Lovie.
Honestly. In hindsight, that was like one of the worst firings that could have happened. Like, I get why it happened at the time because obviously the Bears' offensive struggles just became too much for that team to ever get over the hump. Yeah, but like here we are 10 years later, and the offensive struggles are still exactly the same. So like, what's the point?
Football, man. I tell you, we'll get into it, but I'm telling you, I'm excited for getting Nick Foles to the playoffs. I'm so excited for that, but we'll get into that. All right, speaking of, let's get into it. Bears-Rams, Monday night, another primetime game for Nick Foles to display what they have, another primetime game for the Bears to shut up the haters because I'm assuming everybody's going to pick against the Bears. So with that said, the Rams beat the Bears 17-7 last year in LA. The Bears beat the Rams 15-6 in 2018 in one of the best defensive performances we've ever seen. Is this a game that is going to determine if either team is a pretender or a contender in the NFC? So Blake, if the Bears lose, how are you feeling about the team, and vice versa? If the Rams lose, I mean, at this point, the Rams have only beaten NFC East teams, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So
I believe who
has more to lose in this game?
See, so like, when we say pretender and contender, I was thinking more so along the lines of the NFC, like getting an NFC title and going to the Super Bowl. Because the NFC is wide open right now. I think both these teams are going to be in the mix. Yeah, be in the mix for a wild card spot. But yeah, like you said, the Rams have only beaten those NFC East teams. What are they? 4 wins on the season? I'm gonna look it up here real fast. But I know they beat the Giants, the Eagles, and the Redskins. But I mean, other than that, they lost to the Bills. They lost to the 49ers, and then they just barely beat the Cowboys in week 1. So the Rams are kind of one of those teams that I think a lot of people are still figuring out. I think they get more benefit of the doubt just because they're a couple years removed from going to a Super Bowl. So I think, people look at Sean McVay and they look at that offense and look at the talent on defense and they give them that benefit of the doubt, unlike the Bears, who haven't had an offense, like we've said, ever. So, I think both teams are going to be in the playoffs. It's a matter of if the Bears can come out and give us one of those epic performances like we saw in 2018 and to some degree even in 2019. I mean, you go back to last year when they played them on Sunday night, the defense played really well. It was just Mitchell Trubisky and the offense couldn't get anything going. I think that was the game where we saw Trubisky miss throws to Anthony Miller deep. I think that's when he was still a little bothered by that shoulder. So, and this year it's different because we got Nick Foles. And it's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be one of those ugly slugfests, but this is a real moment for the Bears to put the league on notice, because we'll talk about it later. They've been getting a lot of disrespect still. They're sitting at 5-1. It hasn't been pretty, but this is on a Sunday night stage. This is in front of the national audience, and you have a chance to stamp yourself as the top defense in the league right here.
And I've seen a lot of takes that actually have been really good points. You see these teams, the Titans just gave up 35 points to the Texans. You see these teams that are scoring a lot of points, giving up a lot of points, but winning, and they're looked at as powerhouses. Now the Bears, the exact opposite. They don't give up a lot of points. They don't score a lot of points. They're looked at as failure. So it's very interesting. The Bears, the defense is balling out right now. I'm not going to attribute it to it, but it does seem like Nick Foles, when he came in, he gave this defense something to play for. Nick Foles can consistently get you, I really do believe, 17 to 20 points, which if we look at the last 2 matchups, that's a win. So if Nick Foles can drive the ball down the field, get a couple points on the board, 17 to 20 points, I really can't see Jared Goff driving up and down the field against the Bears. He just, over the past 2 years, he cannot figure it out against this team. And if he can't figure it out, Sean McVay tries to force things, and then it becomes a mess. So I agree with you, Blake. It's going to, and the other thing too, is if you look at the Bears drives, like in the first half of the last 2 games, they've barely had the ball because they can't either they have to pass the ball a lot or they can't run the ball and they have to punt. So if they can figure out this running game somehow, some way, change up the scheme, change up positions, do something, give Charles Leno a day off and go take him to the spot and take away from dad duty so he can get his mind right again. But if the Bears can figure out this O-line and they can run the ball like they did actually at the end of the last game, Montgomery rattled off a couple 7 to 10 yard runs at the end of the game. If they can do that, this is going to be one of the best teams in the NFC. I mean, or in the NFL regardless. You have one of the best defenses in the league, and then you have a former Super Bowl MVP. And if you can run the ball decently, 60 to 70 yards a game, that's dangerous. That is a very good team. That's a balanced attack, and you're going to be able to win football games that way. So I think this is a big test for the Bears. I think the Bucs were harder. I think this LA team, it'll be tough, but if the Bears can put up points, 20, 21 points, I think they win this game.
Yeah, and let's not forget too that in 2018, like that's the year that the Rams went to the Super Bowl. They were playing some really good football on the offensive side, and the Bears were the team to kind of create that blueprint on how to stop them. So like the Bears have the Rams number on offense here, and this is an offense that's now it doesn't have Brandon Cooks, it doesn't have Todd Gurley, and they're still doing well with what they have, and Darrell Henderson, their I think 2nd year running back, and Cooper Kupp's still an animal, and Robert Woods. But the thing is the Bears defensive backs, like I'm not worried about Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods because the Bears defensive backfield has been playing better than anybody in the entire NFL.
I'd be more worried about Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore than Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because those guys really stretch the field, and I think that's tough on any kind of corner. I mean, that's tough on a guy like Jalen Ramsey. I mean, you go back to like when Richard Sherman was in his era of dominance, what beat him was those guys that had speed or those guys that were like had really good footwork. And I like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, they're good, but I think just Kyle Fuller is playing an all-pro level of football right now. Yeah. So he is good. So and then Eddie Jackson,
of the year type
right.
Shit.
So and that's like, and this is so they're playing. It's a combination of the Bears defense playing really good and them having the Rams number. That this is a very winnable game for them. And like you said, Austin, like 21 points could be enough to get them a sure victory.
Yeah.
And Pagano Pagano's doing everything that we wanted him to. He has to be listening to this show.
Last 2 weeks, he's been blitzing, and we've been saying it for the past 2 weeks. Just bring pressure, man.
He's sending Roquan, man, too.
They're airing this damn show in the pregame.
They're
doing it.
Guys, these stunts that he sent last week were absolutely gorgeous. Like the first play of the game, Bilal Nichols comes through for what should have been a safety. But it was so beautiful. Bringing Roquan off the edge, putting Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks on the same side. So it's just beautiful. The way that they are able to pull off their stunts of throwing the defensive end in, taking both of the blockers, and then the tackle coming around. Like it's gorgeous stuff. Like I'm really happy with what I'm seeing. Plus, can we give a shout out to DHC real quick?
Dude,
he's been the most clutch player besides Kyle Fuller, and he's only played like 10 plays.
Yeah,
well, and all the Bears players love him too because everyone is giving him shout outs after the game. There's no one that works harder. I mean, that's a guy that's been on the Bears for a long time.
Disciplined players he's ever played with. So.
Hey, we need to keep an eye on Sherrick McManus too, because our special teams looked leagues better with Sherrick McManus on the field. Like our kickoff coverage was way better, our punt coverage was way better. So I'm hoping that he's not, going to be.
I mean, you talk about special teams, man. Our special teams will always be good as long as we have Cordell Patterson. Devin Hester, best punt returner, kick returner of all time. Cordell Patterson may be the best special teamer of all time. When the ball, teams cannot return punts or kicks because Cordell Patterson is literally on your ass by the time you catch the ball. I've never seen anything like it.
Although we do have Chris Tabor, and Chris Tabor is going to Chris Tabor and have poorly coached players at times. We're just going to have those meltdown games. But you're right. You're totally right. Like there's something about the Bears.
They would have fired him a long time ago if they didn't believe in him. So he's been doing something right. I mean, even Devin Hester said Chris Tabor is when he was on our show.
He also liked Cody Parkey though, and Cody Parkey traumatized.
No, he didn't like Cody Parkey.
Yes, he did.
I don't think he likes Cody Parkey.
Maybe. He doesn't like him now, but he liked him that season. That fucking bum.
No way. We had him on last year. We didn't have it on during 2018.
Who?
Devin Hester.
Wait.
We had Hester.
No.
Wait a second.
Hester doesn't like. I'm not talking about Hester. I'm talking about Tabor. I'm talking about Tabor liking.
Tabor doesn't like Parkey.
Cody was. Yeah, Cody was Cody, man.
Cody's
I'm sure Cody is a nice guy, but
fuck him because he missed that kick, and he
was like going to spiral. I told you everything was going to spiral after that kick. 2019 sucked dick.
No, he fucking missed that kick, and then he was like, well, at least my dog fucking likes me. And then went on Good Morning America and started talking about how hard it was for him. Like, you can go suck 1,000 dicks.
Honestly. if you're first, like, forget about like a kicker. Like, if your first move as a competitor after one of the most heartbreaking losses, and you're the reason, one of the main reasons why that heartbreaking loss happened, and your first move is to go on Good Morning America, that is just a joke. Like, that is never going to go over well in any locker room.
He never talked shit about his players. Was straight up like, yeah, that we're a we thing. That was not a we. That was not a we thing. And
okay, here's we'll move on after this, but like, think about this. Okay. Like, this is the first example that popped back into my head. Go back to like game 1 of the finals, that first year Kevin Durant was on the Warriors against the Cavaliers, where J.R. Smith forgot how much time was on the clock and essentially lost the Cavaliers game 1 in that game. Imagine if the next day he went on Good Morning America and was like, this is the worst day ever. I'm so sorry. It's been really hard. Like, he's probably not playing in the rest of the finals then.
Yeah. At least my dog likes me still.
Hey, positive notes. We have a kicker who just absolutely drilled a 55-yarder.
Great transition, and you're totally right.
I feel so good about Cairo. He's got 1 miss this year, for real. If he starts nailing kicks like that, this guy might be – I'm not going to say it. He's a good kicker.
No, say it. We have got to get off. No, we got to get off of this traumatized –
this shit. I was right about Cody Parkey. Wait, Blake, you were on our pod during that, right? 2018?
No, that was before my time, my lord.
Oh, you were the summer of 2018. So 2018 leading up to the playoffs, I literally said on this podcast with Danny multiple times, I said, if the Bears don't figure out Cody Parkey, if Cody Parkey doesn't figure it out, we're going to lose a playoff game because of Cody Parkey. And it fucking happened. So I'm not talking any shit on kickers. Cairo Santa looks great. That's all I'm saying.
No, we're getting off the boat. We are not scared of kickers anymore. We believe.
I'm terrified of kickers.
Believe in the Bears.
It's the most scary thing in sports to watch a kicker kick the game-winning field goal. I literally, against the Bucks, I was hiding in my pantry. I watched through a crack. I was like that Ryan Pace gif. I couldn't fucking do it.
Yeah, I was
We
tired.
got the
Whoa, whoa,
Cody
whoa.
Parkey stars.
Can we
Yeah.
pause for a second? Did you just say GIF? Are you one of those people that says GIF instead of GIF?
GIF. I don't know, man. I've been told by so many people GIF.
I don't
Shift,
know, man.
GIF, lift.
I'm a GIF guy.
I don't care.
I'm a GIF guy too. Fuck it. Let's make our own format and call it the Bear.
The Bear?
That makes no sense.
We make
GIF.
our own. We
GIF.
make our own format of interchangeable graphics, and we call it the Bear.
Maybe.
We call it the Staley.
Bear.
All right, I'm going
The
over to
Staley.
Blake for this one. I'm going to Blake. Blakinator, Blake Hanatho, Blake the rake, Blake raking
Ooh,
leaves.
that's-
How do you feel
chill out,
about how do you feel about the what do you think the Bears have to do to win this game, basically? Like what without, we're gonna do keys to the game on Sunday, but what do the Bears high level have to do to win the game on Sunday?
I think it's that same formula like we talked about that they had in the last 2 years against the Rams. And I know they didn't come out on top last year, but if your defense holds the team to 17 points like they did, you expect to win that game. They played really well, and I think that blueprint is exactly the same. I think if you can get to Jared Goff, which they should with Khalil Mack, he's healthy, Akeem Hicks, Robert Quinn, Robert Quinn is – the numbers aren't really there, but he's pass rushing. And we haven't really talked about this guy, but Mario Edwards Jr., he's a guy that they brought in here at the start of the season, and he's been really valuable for them as a pass rusher. So I think the key to the game is just getting to Jared Goff, because as we've seen in their last couple matchups with him, if you get to him, he's going to toss a couple up for you because he's going to get scared of getting hit by these guys. So I think that's the key to the game. And, it sounds cliche because obviously in any football game, if you're rushing the passer with great success, chances are you're going to get to him, you're going to force turnovers, and you're going to win the game. But at the same time, like it's basic, but it's true. Like that. I mean, Jared Goff is a guy we know that will throw them the ball if you let him. So I think that's the key is rattling Jared Goff, make your ball control offense, get just a few touchdowns here and there. You're going to win the game. I can't see the Rams lighting up the scoreboard the way the Bears defense is playing
First
right
time
now.
in 3 weeks, we don't really have an all-star running back to worry about. So the Bears should be able to stop the ball on the ground and force Jared Goff to throw, which is what we want. Ryan, who's one player on the Rams that the Bears should watch out for who could be primed for a big game if the Rams do have a
I mean, do I even have to answer this with our offensive line struggles?
Ooh.
We can all say it at the same time. The boogeyman himself, Aaron Donald. I mean,
nightmare. Oh,
actually, you know what? No, I'm changing my answer to Leonard Floyd. I think I've heard a lot about this guy. I think we.
All right, we don't have to worry about
him.
Ryan said we don't have to worry about Aaron Donald anymore. Forget about him. He's irrelevant.
This guy, Leonard Floyd, he's a monster.
Forget about it. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Donald. That's the biggest. Watch the fuck out for this guy in the whole NFL, especially considering how bad the Bears line is right now.
And your offensive game plan revolves around stopping Aaron Donald. I mean, not stopping Aaron Donald, but running the ball away from him or neutralizing the impact that he has on the game. Because if you let him, that worries me a little bit because we got Rashad Coward here at guard, and Rashad Coward he's
playing like his name says.
I don't want to be mean here, but
I mean, how have the Bears not even tried to make moves at guard yet? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Just maybe lack of options. They don't want to get rid of draft capital. I don't know. I mean, like we said, like Rashad Coward's a guy that's been in the system, and while he may not good, like he knows the playbook and he knows the scheme at this point. So, I'm not trying to defend Rashad Coward by any means here, but
I mean, he is a Bear. He is family, but at the same time, like maybe we need to come up with a marketing campaign for some guard that's on the free agency market and say that he still has his car from high school or from college and get Pace to fall in love with him and then get him to sign him before the deadline. I think we should start a marketing campaign. I think we could really do this.
Look, here's the thing. Bilal Nichols looks to have slow start to the season, turned it around. So maybe our offensive line can do the same, but essentially way too many times. And watching other games, you notice how bad it is. Way too many times have the Bears not gotten any push from this line of scrimmage. And the entire Panthers team is in the back. Charles Leno standing up, Rashad Coward standing up, Jermaine Ifedi's on the ground. Bobby Massey is nowhere to be found. So, it's just like,
can we think of a new name for Charles Leno? I don't think he deserves to have his name said on our show. Can we call him like
Charles
Leno?
Olay?
Show before, but yeah.
I mean, he's Charles Leno. You know what? Like, I know Charles Leno has had his struggles here and there, but the fact of the matter is that Charles Leno. All right, here we go. I'm gonna say something good about Charles Leno, just to be nice
about Charles Leno.
Charles Leno Jr. was a 7th round pick, and he's turned into a multi-year starter. That's already an uber successful NFL.
Fair point. We can say his name. But don't say Bobby Massey's name. Can we agree not to say Bobby Massey's name and to call him that guy that blocks?
Looks like shit this year, and he did the same thing last year. The whole line doesn't look good, and the team it's so frustrating because
Cody Whitehair looks like shit too.
Yeah, this year the Chicago Bears are literally an offensive line away from being a real-time Super Bowl contender. So they got to do something to figure.
Would you rather be an offensive line away or a quarterback away?
I still think the Bears are a quarterback away, to be honest.
Yes, that's a good point. Like we have not found our savior.
I see. That's not the. I understand where you're coming from, but I think Nick Foles can get the job done. He's shown that he can do it before. I mean, with a way worse defense. So if
we said it too, we just need an average quarterback. That's all we need.
That's all. The thing is like I get what you're saying. Like Nick Foles has gotten it done, and he played incredible on that playoff run for the Eagles down the stretch. I mean, you can't take anything away from him. But I mean, you go back and look at that Eagles offensive line, and that was potentially the best offensive line in football that year. I mean, you're talking Jason Peters, future Hall of Famer, Jason Kelsey, he's a borderline Hall of Famer. Brandon Brooks is a borderline Hall of Famer. Lane Johnson is on his way to being potentially a Hall of Famer. So think about that. That's 4 potential Hall of Famers on one offensive line. So like, Nick Foles was great, but that's also playing with one of the best offensive lines that were in the league. Maybe like one of the best. When you look at it that way, 4 Hall of Famers on one offensive line. If that's still a long ways from happening potentially, but that's pretty incredible. So like that Eagles team, while Nick Foles was great, that was a really, really good team around him.
But I mean, that just if the Bears can get a decent offensive line, Nick Foles can do it. I mean, again, and here's the other thing too is like if the Bears can get Nick Foles to the playoffs. He's got hella experience now, and he can
right.
Who knows what he does? We've seen what he can do before. Who knows he can go on a run again? But again, it's not going to change if the Bears can't figure out the offensive line. Give him some time. I mean, he can't even throw. But I don't even know if he went deep last week.
I think he probably tried, but I don't think
it
came away with it.
Tried, but got hit. It was way underthrown. But he's got no time. So like,
look at this point. Let's just get into a point where Patty O'Doul can kick it down and pin him inside the 10-yard line.
I like that name for Patty O'Doul.
Patty O'Doul, the non-alcoholic beer.
Just get to a point where he can kick it, pin him in the 10-yard line, put some pressure on the quarterback, get a takeaway. Like the Bears need to start thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and that's what
we got a good defense. Our defense is good enough to be playing like 4D chess with teams. Like, let's not even try on offense anymore. Let's get the defense to get a takeaway.
Let's have our defense play off
of defensive touchdowns.
Or we find a really good punt returner. We just punt the ball, let our defense get a 4th down or a turnover. But fourth down and then get a punt return touchdown. I mean, let's come on, Ryan Pace.
I don't know why this. I mean, Ted Ginn needs to like not put on a uniform again. I'm sorry. I was so high on him before the season. I'm so sorry. He's terrible. But you got Lamar Miller for a reason. So call up Lamar Miller, go Montgomery Miller, put Patterson returning kicks and punts again. And I think that changes your whole dynamic of the team. But again, Lamar Miller
says he doesn't return punts though.
Huh?
Patterson says he's not a punt returner.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not gonna change.
I miss Tariq Cohen, man. I miss him so much.
Honestly, I never missed so much like east-west running and running backwards because he still gained more yards than Ted Ginn does.
Yeah, it's tough. But all right, so the Bears and the Rams are right there in the NFC picture between the wild card, or the Bears are in first. So they're going to be competing for the NFC playoff spots the entire season. The Rams are 4-1 in the NFC. The Bears are 5-0. Huge playoff game. Huge game with playoff implications. Blake, how do you see this game ultimately panning out on Monday night?
Well, we'll get more into like our predictions and everything and our hot takes and everything on Sunday in our pregame show. All you guys out there listening, going to want to check it out. It'll be about, what are we doing, an hour or 2 hours before game time? I think in the prime time we'll do like an hour or so before, right?
Yeah, we usually do. What do we do? Like an hour before, because it's like like a 7:30 start.
We'll pretty much take you right into like 15 minutes before kickoff. I think
we'll have a special guest on.
Yeah,
we'll get you guys ready for that game.
But we talked about it. It's going to be a defensive game. It's never pretty with the Bears. I mean, granted, I would love to see an offensive explosion. Just don't see that happening because the Rams defense is pretty good too. They got a lot of studs. I mean, we talked about Aaron Donald, but Jalen Ramsey's a baller at corner. So it's going to be a fun matchup with him and Allen Robinson. But I think this game is going along the same lines as we saw last year and in 2018 against the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's going to be another low-scoring affair. I mean, everybody at this point expects it. Maybe we get something high-scoring. I am still a firm believer that in the next 2 weeks, I think this offense is going to start clicking a little bit more. I know Nick Foles is brought in because he knows this offense, but he's still he's still, he's only still started a couple games. So I think once it starts going, I think we're going to be seeing a little more efficient Nick Foles, a little more efficient offense. Because I mean, look, he has consistently been driving the ball down the field for the most part. He's had a couple mishaps here and there, a couple bad plays, but I mean, we saw it against the Bucs and against the Panthers. He can get on these crazy streaks. So once he figures out this offense and he's able to get more comfortable with it, I think we're going to see things open up way more. And when the passing game opens up, then hopefully the run game opens up. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, and I think it's going to be a really good game again. Hopefully the Bears can score more than 7 freaking points, unlike last year. That was tough. But they should be able to move the ball through the air. It's going to be a matter of if they can do it.
It's coming back to me now. I'm pretty sure Eddie Pinheiro missed a couple kicks in that game against the Rams too, which definitely didn't help.
First drive, first drive, they missed it. I remember that.
And then they went for it on the next 4th down. Now it's all coming back to me now. Yeah,
because they didn't trust Eddie. That was just such a.
Let's not relive that. Let's not relive any of 2019.
And I hope that as Nick Foles gets more comfortable, Matt Nagy gets more comfortable because he needs. There are some things that he's got to work on for sure. I mean, Matt Nagy is an offensive genius. His schemes are fantastic, but the play calling is still spotty. So hopefully that can be figured out. But before we get into some Bears news, guys, y'all know what it is. It is Manscaped. We actually just signed our long-term deal with them for the next couple of months. We're really excited about that. So we're going to be pushing out Manscaped stuff all the way through Christmas. So you guys know where to get all your Manscaped needs. We're going to change the way you manscape your man parts. Go to manscaped.com, use promo code BEARSBACK, BEARSBACK to get 20% off your order. Blake, tell them more about Manscaped.
Well, I want to ask you guys, what does a guy call his best friends according to Manscaped? His testy besties, of course. Halloween is right around the corner, and you don't want to spook someone with your scary bush. Our friends at Manscaped want to help you make your boys downstairs clean and best friends of their own. Manscaped is #1 in men's below-the-waist grooming and offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. And these really are precision-engineered tools. Let me tell you. I mean, we've shown you guys the lawnmower with the light and everything. It's nice for when you're in the shower. You want to take care of business down there. Got a big date coming up. It's the perfect tool to use to take care of business down there. So yeah. So I mean, you're not gonna want to miss this, guys. Like, they got so much good stuff on here, and ever since we got our stuff, I use it pretty much every day. I use it before work. I use it when I'm going out, whatever I got to do. So it's awesome. You're gonna use the code BEARSBACK at manscaped.com. It's 20% off plus free shipping. So when you add up that free shipping, that's even more than 20% off. It's an awesome deal. So once again, that's code BEARSBACK at manscaped.com. Remember to put that promo code in. Use their products. It's great stuff, guys.
Premier stuff. Ryan, how's your Manscaped products been?
I mean, I'm fresh as a daisy over here. I really want to give Blake props. That was a beautiful ad read there, Blake.
We got to do it for our guys over at Manscaped. Really, they're treating us well right now.
Yeah, shout out Manscaped.
They're treating us well for sure, and we want to make sure we return the favor for them and to you guys and offer you some great deals on Manscaped. Again, there's so many different things you can get for your dad, your uncle, your brother, your cousin, your husband, your son. It's all there. Manscaped.com, 20% off. Use code BEARSBACK. The Bears are back. Your ball should be too. All right, fellas, it is that time. It is Bears news time. Starting off the top, I'm really fucking pumped about this. Today, Tuesday, the Bears signed former Notre Dame linebacker Manti Te'o. I was a huge fan of Manti Te'o. Obviously, he had the ghost girlfriend situation that still follows him to this day. But
I kind of forgot about that until the Bears signed him. Like, it kind of had gone into the shadow realm. I hadn't heard about it, and then all of a sudden he gets signed to the Bears, and it just brings back all these flooding memories of that crazy 2 months with Manti Te'o
story.
Because he was on his way to winning a Heisman. Like, he was the perfect Heisman candidate where they were balling. Notre Dame, obviously, a fan favorite of everybody around. Well, not to everybody, but one of the most popular teams in the nation. And he was a linebacker. And then you have the narrative on top of it. So it was all coming together for the Irish and Manti Te'o that year. And then that they had that December off before the title game against Bama, and all that stuff came out. And we don't want to rehash it too much because it's obviously that story has been talked about and played out a million times. Cooper's hyped about Manti Te'o.
It's not even against Manti Te'o. Like, he didn't do that shit. He actually thought he had a girl.
No, I mean, well, that's and that's not on him. He was just a guy that got played, and he kind of dug himself a hole a little bit. But like I feel that like in his position, if I found out that the girl I thought I was dating and talking to for all these months was not real, and it became like this big national story, I think that was kind of one of those things that just snowballed hard, and then it kind of became a thing of its own.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, Manti Te'o to the practice squad. Who knows if we'll actually see him get called up, but I don't mind it for inside linebacker depth. Like, I mean, that was a thin spot for the Bears already. And if he does end up on the active roster, it's another guy you can plug and play there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm about it too. And especially if there's injury, but Manti Te'o drafted, he actually played decent for the Chargers for a while.
And going back to that draft too, I remember wanting the Bears to get Manti Te'o bad because I think that was right after Lance Briggs was no longer a Bear, that Brian Urlacher had just retired the year before. The defense was giving up like 6 yards a pop with Mel Tucker at defensive coordinator. So I was pretty I wanted the Bears to go after him because that would have been a nice guy to play there. Obviously, like, he hasn't become a perennial Pro Bowler by any means, but I mean, he's a guy that has a lot of experience in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great signing. We'll see what the Bears decide to do with him. Obviously, Lamar Miller, too, on the practice squad. So we'll see what the Bears decide to do with these vets that are going to add some valuable depth to the team, especially as we get deeper into the winter. On other news, before we get into our Staley update, the Bears continue to be put low in the power rankings. I've seen them as high as 11, and I think they're – how low have you seen them, Blake?
I haven't really, like, honestly, I don't like to pay attention to those power rankings because they are just to, like, get people hyped up, and you see it on Twitter. I mean, it's clearly working because everyone feels disrespected, yada yada. But like, I think the question here is like, okay, if the Bears are being disrespected, where do you put them in the NFL hierarchy right now? Because like, like right now I'm looking on NFL.com, they got them at 11, and here above them they got the Saints, the Rams, the Bills, the Packers, the Bucks, the Seahawks, the Ravens, the Titans, Steelers, and the Chiefs. Like,
Bills are frauds. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. Put us above the Bills. I think the Packers are frauds too. Go ahead and.
I see. Like, I think the win. Like, the thing is about the Bears is like, yeah, they're sitting at 5-1, and the defense has been super impressive. But I feel like the national media and everybody else in these power rankings is waiting for that signature Bears dominant win because a lot of their games have been really close. And I mean, I think the Saints still deserve the benefit of the doubt. I think that's a really good team. I think that's a Super Bowl contender. The Rams are a little bit on the fringe, I think a little bit, but I think the Bears are in that same category as a team like the Rams right now, or in that same tier. But I think once you go up that list, like the Bills, I think the Bills are still hot. Their offense has been a lot better. Josh Allen, while yesterday was a little bit tough for them, the week before was tough, I still think that they're on the right track. Packers have been dominant in every game except this past week. And I mean, I know the Bears beat the Bucks and they have the Bucks ahead of the Bears, but I mean that the Bucks beat down of a team like the Packers that was 4-0 before that. I mean, that win inherently ranks above all the other Bears wins right now, if that makes sense.
And Tom Brady shook Aaron Rodgers' hand. He hates Nick Foles, confirmed.
CBS
honestly.
Sport has Chicago at number 6, and
Ooh,
NBC Chicago has us at 7.
Sports?
So.
I'm curious, who wrote that CBS Sports Power
It was
rankings?
not Jason Live.
I was going to say, because that man's got them at like 26 still.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's good.
By Pete Prisco? Pete Prisco. I mean, that guy is a low-key kind of Bears hater too. So
good for Pete.
Pete Prisco. Okay. All right, Pete.
Proud of you, Pete. Proud of you, Pete. I think 9 or 10, honestly, is fair right now. Mm-hmm. Until the Bears, they got that great win against the Bucks, a big win against the Panthers, but they're able to beat the Rams. I think then you talk about them being a top 7 team for sure, top 6. I think 9 or 10 right now is a fair assessment from a non-biased standpoint. I think 9 or 10 is very fair with those teams up there right now. But again, you get this win on Monday against the Rams, rolling into a Sunday afternoon game against a Saints team that, with the defense we have, it is going to be beatable. I think you put them up to 6 or 7 for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So right now, I think 9 or 10 is pretty fair. But shout out to NBC Sports and Pete Prisco, CBS. Yeah, that's sick. All right, it is time. Ryne, are you ready? It's time for our wonderful artificial intelligence NFL predictor that has been killing it all season. A little bit of a rough week, but still killing it on the surefire selections. Ryne, give a quick overview of Staley, and how are we doing after last week?
Staley is our robot robot boo. I'm gonna call him our BB Boo Bop over here at the Lakeshore Live. He's not having a hot week. He had a rough week. He was 7-7. But surefire selections are still 4-1, so we're still hot on the surefire selections. But yeah, I mean, we're getting to a point where I think the stats that I'm using for Staley predictions are getting a little wonky. He's starting to get a little more confident in his most confident picks. But just a little sneak peek for this week. There's only 3 surefire selections this week.
Ooh, that's gonna be. I'm gonna have to dig into all the picks for that Staley Sunday parlay, which I won. Thank you, Staley, for winning me over $100. That was fantastic. Yeah, we're gonna be dropping Staley's picks on Sunday, whether we're on or not. We'll drop Staley's picks and the surefire selections, and of course, I'll do my Staley Sunday parlay.
He was just bold this week, man.
Yeah,
bold.
Do you have an overview pick? Wait, you said Staley's picks are bold this weekend?
No, well, they were bold this last weekend.
Yeah, very bold. Do you have an overview record?
It was 55-24 going into this week, correct?
I think 54. 54. Blake's coming back. We're gonna ask Blake. Blake. What was Staley's record? Do you remember what Staley's record was before this week?
I do. I wrote it down right here. Sorry, I'm right. Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
53-24.
Okay, so
53-24.
So
31.
So yeah, that's 60-31, and then the surefire selections was like 21-7, I think.
Mm-hmm. So 25-8.
25-8 on those surefire selections. And Austin, didn't the surefire parlay hit again?
Yep. We just talked about the Staley Sunday parlay hits.
Mm-hmm.
So
there were good odds on that too.
Selections this weekend, so I'm gonna have to dig a little bit deeper to find all the parlays. So yeah, we'll get that graphic out this week with Staley's overall records, and then of course on Sunday we'll post Staley's picks, and you guys can bet at your own risk if you're
Send
betting.
Staley your energy.
Yes, send Staley your energy. Staley needs a good week. Staley needs a bounce back. 500 is the worst that Staley's done all season.
Hey, if that's the worst he does all season, then I think he's in good shape.
Fantastic shape. He's 61-31. Are you kidding? That's fantastic.
God, I hope he does better than that. I hope that's the worst he does all year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our tally site rankings are going down.
We'll get it back up. Staley, if you had Staley in there to start the season, you'd be like top 10 right now. So.
Yeah, and also look, we're gonna get into Ryan's corner later. I think I've been doing stats shenanigans, shizzle whizzle, as we like to call it. And next year, I'm telling you, Staley V2 is gonna be something to fuck with. I don't want to scare you kids out there, but Staley V2 is really gonna come out.
You might be creating a monster.
You are. We already know he is. He already has. 60-31, bro. That's nuts. That's nuts.
That's Staley V2. That's like, look what happened in Terminator. You started with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, he was scary. He came back from the future, fuck shit up. And then the next movie, you got the liquid metal Terminator who can shapeshift to anybody. And if we're getting to that level with Staley, imagine Staley shapeshifting into Staley might be Ryne right now. We don't even know.
Yeah, Staley's gonna be taking Ryan's form.
I'm saying it could be a slippery slope here.
What if I am Staley? What if I'm already artificially intelligent?
And that's
what if none of this is real?
What if you just spit out the plays? Like just pull out a paper and there's the plays.
Well, that's pretty easy to do with Matt Nagy. First down, run. Second down, pass. Third down, pass. Don't run again until the third quarter.
Pretty much.
Third down in the fourth quarter when you need to run off clock, pass.
That's it. All right, Staley killing it, 16-31 overall, 25-8. We're not going to be doing that pregame show, I don't think, on Sunday. It'll be Monday, an hour before, or 6 Central, an hour and a half before game time. But we will still drop those Staley picks at Lakeshore, at LSL_pod on Twitter, Lakeshore Live on Facebook, Lakeshore Live Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. So with that said, we are going to get into our big board of fall. It's just a big board of fall. Big board of fall.
Let's do it.
Oh, speaking of big board, we just did our big board of chips. She just sent me this note. She passes notes to me when we're doing the podcast. She just told me.
That's adorable. Can I just say that is fucking adorable?
She just told me that we're going to be doing crushed up Doritos encrusted air fried on some chicken. So I'm very excited about this.
Low key, I have some of my buddies. Shout out Mob Action. That's the gang. Mob Action is experimenting with chips, and they did all that kind of stuff. They did it with like Doritos, like Cheetos, flaming hot Cheetos. They did it like all sorts of chips, and they're basically trying to start a 31 flavors for chicken tenders, but with chip flavors. So shout out the boys.
All right, let's get into it. Big board of fall activities or fall in general. Ryan, I'll start with you.
My number 3 is sleeping with the windows open.
Oh, that's underrated. That's underrated.
I think that is such. Oh, not only does it feel nice, but it feels nice when you're sleeping, but when you get that energy bill and that shit is real low compared.
It's nicer when you're older.
Yeah, whenever you pay your own rent and bills and shit. I don't know who's listening to this that doesn't, but welcome. But when you pay your own bills and it goes down by 50% just from sleeping with your windows open without AC. Oh, it's hard to beat.
Chef's kiss.
Honestly, though, like I'm with you, Ryan, because I sleep with my windows open all the time, but it makes it way more difficult for me to get out of bed in the morning. Like I'm so cozy then, and it's so cold, and it's
still dark. Like right now, we're at the point where it's getting dark early, but it's also getting bright late in the morning. Like it's just very strange. We're about to go through that like need coffee at 5:30.
Hey, Loki, I love this. Isn't on my big board, but I love taking the metro before COVID when it was dark outside. It made me very comfortable. Took a little nap on the express train. You know, it sucks getting up, but then you get on the express train, it's dark outside still. You're just like knocked. And then you get to go home knocked too, like because it's dark outside. So not bad. All right. My number 3 for the big board is the leaves, the leaf colors, dude. This is the first year I've actually appreciated that shit. There's some trees out here that are half green, half pitch red, and it's actually really cool. I don't want to say that I see how people go leaf watching because
watching is that a thing?
People literally go to Maine and stay at hotels to look at the leaves. I'm not saying I understand.
I would do it,
but
I would 100% do it, and I will not apologize to anybody.
Okay, well, you're weird. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's cool. It's some really cool stuff, but like, I really started appreciating the leaves this year. So number 3 for me is leaves. Blake.
Number 3 for me is going to be haunted houses. It's going to be hard to go to haunted houses this year because of COVID and, being in close proximity to everybody. But I'll tell you what, there's nothing like a good haunted house to get those juices flowing. You have a couple of drinks before you go in. You're with some friends. It's a really good time. It's really like a lot of them are really creative too. They put you in some wild situations, and when you really go in them, you start to see like how much work that they put into this to make it an experience for everybody. And every time I've gone to a haunted house, I've had a really good time. So that's my number 3. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this year with everything going on, but it's always a good time.
Ryan or Blake, I'm throwing it back to you for number 2.
Back to me, number 2. It's an easy one. Number 2 is bonfires. Bonfires in the fall are
great.
Prime bonfire season right now. And, we got a fire pit out back, and I'm just waiting on the right night to have the gang over, to have a fire, maybe throw some marshmallows on there, make some s'mores and do that whole
thing.
I
come over?
Come on.
Can I get involved in this
everyone's
fire?
Invited, man. Bonfire season for days. But, I mean, cold night, sitting around a fire. You don't feel cold. Have a couple drinks, just chill. I mean, that's a fall experience for me.
Hell yeah. Love that. All right. For me, number 2, I got to go back to your number 3, Blake, because I'm like right there with you. For me, it's haunted house maze and then pumpkin. So I don't know how to say this. Haunted facilities. Haunted facilities. I don't even know. And / pumpkin patches. I love the fall activities. I love them. You go to a pumpkin patch, an actual pumpkin patch, you get your stuff, you can pick some apples at some of these pumpkin patches, you get some good shit. You go to a haunted maze, you go to a haunted house, you go to what else? They had haunted hay rides. I love all of it.
I'm definitely a sucker for a nice corn maze.
Yeah.
Or a haunted maze. Haunted maze.
They get your blood pumped for sure. For sure. They get your blood pumped.
All right.
Ryan, number 2.
Okay. My number 2. I'm really conflicted right now because my number 1 is I can't change it, but my number 2, I'm really stuck between 2 things. And if I'm going with what gives me more joy, should I go with what gives me more peace or more satisfaction, more comfort?
What one of these 2 things? What comes to your mind first when you think of fall?
I'll go cold mornings and hot coffee.
Okay.
So like going out on the balcony and it's chilly in the morning. So like you're a little chilly and you drink your coffee and you can feel it go through your whole body.
And you just watch that steam rise off the coffee.
Yeah. And you're just there's something
something about feeling the coffee go from your mouth all the way down to your stomach.
Oh,
That
yeah.
first sip in the morning, Jesus Christ, it's like, oh, I got chills. I'm not even fucking playing with y'all right now. I just got chills down my arms thinking about it. I don't get up early enough in the morning to experience it most mornings, which is why I was thinking about not going with it. But
Hey,
I
you
love it so
appreciate
much.
when you do it.
Yeah, weekend mornings. All right, number one for me, it is apple cider anything. Donuts,
cider.
I
apple
was close to
cider
picking
in
that.
general.
That's a good pick.
It is anything hot. My mom makes, so I get gallons of apple cider every fall. But my mom also makes this apple cider where she puts in cinnamon and also red wine, and it is incredible. It is so good. It's hot. It's so good. So that is there too.
Apple cider donuts definitely hit different.
They slap. They
Hey,
slap.
let me just throw out an honorable mention real quick. Football. I mean,
Yes.
Whoa,
Well,
chill, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna get into a ton of. I got a good honorable mention.
I still got my number one here.
okay,
All right,
okay.
Blake.
shit, shit, shit.
All right,
Hey,
I'll
Ryan,
go into it.
cut
Number
that.
one.
Ryan, cut that.
Number
Number
Blake.
one, football. All day Saturday, all day Sunday. It was the easiest number one that I've ever had. This is what the fall is all
Yeah,
about.
I
This
can't
is
believe
why I
just
get
didn't pick
amped
football.
for fall, because I get to sit on my ass from 11 o'clock to whatever time college football ends or I stop watching that night. And then the NFL comes around and I sit on my ass from fucking 12 to 10:30 watching football. So that's the fall. The fall is football for me. It always has been. Easiest number one in the history of the big board for me.
Blake, I'd like to formally apologize for just
Yeah,
coming in like
you
that.
cucked my number one there a little bit.
Yeah, dude, I'm really sorry.
Hey,
I'm
you
really
know,
sorry.
it-
That was
It happened.
look, am I uninvited to the bonfire now, or am I still good?
You're still invited, but you gotta wait 30. You're on a 30-minute power play, so you gotta wait 30 minutes after everybody else gets there.
Okay, that's fine.
All
I'm
right.
totally cool with that.
All right, number one for Ryan.
So mine's gonna be a little odd, but this is the most iconic thing for me in the fall. It's just the way that the sun shines in the afternoon and the evening.
Hey,
There's something about the sunshine. I mean, look, I've done psychedelic drugs. I appreciate small things.
So-
Look, man, the way that the sun shines in the afternoon is just in the fall is just gorgeous. I don't know what it is, but it's like it's got a different color to it. It's you almost don't want to wear your sunglasses in the fall just so you can see every bit
into
of the sun. Yes, and I think it has something to do with the colors of the leaves too, and like the way that the light is like reflecting off of those leaves back at you.
Yeah.
Well, that's like I was
always
gonna say.
something
It's a
that's spoken to me.
combination of your sun and Austin's leaves, where those two together it combines for the ultimate fall setting. You know what I mean? Like I just
combined.
like if there was a documentary all about the season of fall, it starts with that long shot of the sun coming down in the background with all the colorful leaves. You know that I mean that's what you picture. I think of like Thanksgiving, and that's what I see, like all the colorful leaves and the sunset.
Yeah, dude. I just God, the sun in the fall. Like I remember even as a little kid, every time fall would come around, I'm like, I would always mention it to my mom or something like that. Whoever else was like, you know what, the sun always shines just a little bit differently in the fall. Like it just, I don't know, it just feels nice. It's comforting almost. Like in the summer, the sun shines like aggressively. In the fall, the sun shines like peacefully.
Right. And it's like the sun is beating down on your ass in the summer where you're sweating and you're just like feeling the sun. But like it's almost like in the fall that the sun provides like a comforting space for you. It's like, oh, the sun's on me. It's warm. Cause like as soon as it goes down, that's when the temperature just plummets. So it's like that's actually peak sun is probably the fall sun.
Yeah, peak sun. And it's not overly hot. Like it's not making you sweat. It's like you're right, Blake. It's like, without me, you'd be a little chilly right now. So like, here, take this comfort, enjoy it. It's on me. I am the sun. And also it's like, as winter's coming around, we're getting farther away from the sun. Not to get all sciencey, but it's almost like the sun saying later, bitch. But in the summer, it's like, what's up, bitch? Like I'm here to fuck.
Right.
But in the fall, it's like, all right, well, I'll see you later. But like before I go, like here's a little something. I hope you enjoy.
Here's a parting gift for the parting years for the few months.
Let's throw out some honorable mentions before we get into Ryan's corner, all about statistics. For me, Bailey's. How about Bailey's and coffee? Bailey's and hot chocolate. Bailey's and anything.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I got night drives.
Night drive. Okay.
I'm a big night drive guy. I have a whole playlist made out for it.
Nice.
For me, I mean, my birthday's in October, so shout out that. That's always cool, I guess. That's always nice to have a birthday in the fall. Honorable mention though, sucker for some Halloween candy, man. I got a sweet tooth.
Yes.
You like it's danger when that bag of Halloween candy comes out, man. Like they gotta hide that. You gotta be careful because that's a slippery slope too. Next thing you know, you're a bowl deep.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound.
You're like me gaining 40 pounds during quarantine.
I'd probably gain 40 pounds in a day from Halloween candy.
I'm gonna sound a little white girl here, but for me, it's got to be also anything pumpkin flavored. So,
you're a pumpkin spice boy.
I love pumpkin, bro.
You're a pumpkin spice boy.
Look, I fuck with pumpkin too. I think pumpkin's a great flavor.
Corey's saying pumpkin spice lattes. So yeah,
pumpkin spice lattes are too sweet. The pumpkin spice sweet cream cold brew at Starbucks is where to go.
I'm gonna try it. I love the cold.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's black coffee with the sweet cream on top that's pumpkin infused. I'm telling you, like Starbucks overall is pretty trash, but that drink is very, very good. I'm telling you.
All right. Great big board segment. You guys, as always, we're going to tweet
out. Wait. I got one more. I'm sorry. I got one more. Two more. Thanksgiving dinner with the sweatpants on. And also my second one, one of my favorite national holidays is the day after Halloween when all the candy that Blake mentioned is on sale.
Oh, yeah.
It's also Christmas season when Halloween ends too. So November 1st.
I used to be a Christmas music in September kind of guy.
Wow, I can't do it.
They just keep pushing that back every year, man. There's Christmas in July half the time now.
All right, it is. So as always, you guys be able to see all of our selections on at @LSL_pod on Twitter, Lakeshore Live Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. It'll be out. Blake, I'm thinking Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, we'll have it out on Friday.
Saturday, you guys can vote on who won and also provide your top 3 picks of fall anything. Where we welcome it. Make sure you provide some input there. We would love to hear. All right, without further ado, it is that time. I'm about to go on mute and let Ryne do the talking. It is Ryne's Corner.
Okay, this week on Ryne's Corner, I've been kind of nerding out on some stats. I found this package for the R programming language called NFL Fast R like 3 weeks ago, and I just sat and studied it for 3 weeks trying to figure it out. But today I finally got into it. And boys, we've been talking, the whole season about the holding calls. I myself have been a big proponent of where are the fucking holding calls on Khalil Mack, on Robert Quinn, on Akeem Hicks, on our whole defensive line. Well, it's not just the Bears that aren't getting these holding calls. And I got some numbers for you here. Let me find my little sheet, wherever it. Okay. So I did the stats for 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 through 6 weeks. And so the average from 2015 to 2019 is 283.2 holding calls through and an average of like 92 games. So like 91, 92, 91. It's around the same games every year. 283.2 holding calls and 89 defensive pass interference calls, with most of those averaging around 17 yards, 17 and a half yards per defensive pass interference call. Take a guess at how many holding calls there's been this year through 6 weeks.
3. I have no idea. 26.
There have been 158.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah, last year through 6 weeks, there were 313. And the average for the last 5 years is 283.2. So it's not just the Bears not getting these. I even did, while we were recording earlier, I did some queries on this database. The Rams have gotten 0.
Not one holding call all season.
If I did my queries right, which I probably didn't because I just figured out how to use this today. But yeah, and like if we look at interceptions or defensive pass interference, I think the Bears are number 4 in the league, tied for 3 actually, I think, with 8 defensive pass interferences. The Rams have 3. So I don't know. I want to do some more research into the Bears defense, not Bears defense, but Bears penalty habits. But from the looks of it, the whole league is just kind of getting fucked on not getting any holding calls, because you know they're happening, because it's been very consistent over the past 5 years. And if I even see, I don't think I wrote it down anywhere, but I went back and did the data for 2012, which was the year of the replacement refs. And the replacement refs, I want to say, I could have swore I wrote it down somewhere. Yeah, so basically, I mean, we're getting on par with the replacement refs as far as missing things.
Oof.
So
Don't like to
I don't
hear
know.
that.
I don't know, but it's from what I can tell, closing out here, there's been a little bit more defensive pass interference than normal, but there's less. So EPA is expected points added, I'm pretty sure, and it's how impactful a play is towards the result of the game. And the average for 2019 as a whole. Well, let's see if we find here 2016 was the last year that was comparable to this year. The average EPA for per defensive pass interference was 1.76 for the offense, median of 1.62, 16.5 yards average per defensive pass interference. For 2020, we're at 1.74 average EPA, 16.3 average yards per penalty. So honestly, those stats have gone down, but I think it's because they're calling more pass interferences on these short routes. Like it seems like every time you see a route that looks like the wide receiver's open and there's any sort of like the defender breathes on a guy, it really seems like the flags are just flying this year.
Yeah, and the other thing too, it seems like there's a lot more pass interference calls that you could challenge and get overturned compared to last year too. So they kind of abandoned that pretty quick. But
last year there was only 79 through the first 6 weeks, which I guess could go back to you could challenge them.
Yeah,
but the year before that was also 79. So
yeah, and barely any of them were overturned. So that's why they got rid of the challenging pass interference rule.
Yeah, the average yards per pass interference is down this year, but the total amount of yards is up because there was 116 versus 79. Offensive pass interference is down this year too. But
interesting.
There's not, the numbers don't really suggest that there's anything crazy going on, but for holding, there's definitely something.
Holding is bad. I mean, there's always holding going on. So yeah, Ryan, some interesting stuff, and I think we'll be getting some more stat stuff from you as we go forward. And
they're letting the boys play.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for sure. That's some really interesting stuff. Some awesome stuff to kind of take in. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, we get some holding calls on Monday night, but we'll have to see. Both teams have some superstars on defense, so we'll see what happens there. But as always, guys, we are going to end the show now with plug in social media. Take a follow. Follow us on Twitter at LSL_pod, Lakeshore Live Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. We're also on YouTube now. Please go subscribe. We're dropping a ton more video content on our YouTube page, Lakeshore Live Podcast on YouTube. Check us out there. We'll be dropping this whole show video, the whole video show from this episode there that you can watch as well. Throw it on your TV. And of course, all our live shows will be up there as well. So follow there, set subscriptions, set some notifications, have some fun with that. As always, guys, we will see you on our pregame show. It will be Monday, 6 Central. We were going to be here to get you guys ready for the Bears-Rams game. We might do another pregame show in there. We also might have a special film review show later this week as well that will be live, and we'll post that to YouTube as well. And that'll be live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So, yeah, lots of great content coming your way, guys. We have a lot of cool stuff coming from Lakeshore Live. Lots of incredible guests coming your way as well. So without further ado, we are going to close this out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks for tuning in. As always, go Bears, bear down, and we'll catch you on Monday, maybe sooner.
Bears.
Bears.